Welcome to the Outlaws podcast. This is Ryan. Today joining me is Drew. Drew, you had a big Sunday, coming back and beating Nick in surprising fashion. How did it feel?
Feels pretty good. Granted, it was a victory against the lesser Shimmer, in my opinion, so maybe not quite as special, but glad to know I have at least one Shimmer's number.
Yeah, big week for you. You said you hit 5 home runs on today, Sunday? Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And we all have really bad, it seems like when you get to the weekends, your teams are more likely to choke on Sunday than they are to have a good day, especially with players sitting out. A lot of players seem to sit out on Sunday, day game after night game. So to actually have a really good Sunday and come back after trailing all week, definitely feeling pretty good right now.
All right, and before we jump into the power rankings, I believe we just had one trade last week, one that you were involved in. David Ortiz for Jason Grilli. Just explain what you're trying to get accomplished there.
Well, at the time I made the trade, Freeman was getting ready to go on the DL, and Teixeira was out indefinitely with that neck problem, and I didn't know how serious it was going to be, and I wanted a decent name there in my first base slot. Turns out Teixeira ended up coming back, but I was still pretty happy with the value I was able to get, and I was also able to accomplish one of my other goals, which is getting rid of one of my 5 closers, because I think that's one too many. Ideally, it would be trading a closer for a starting pitcher, but, no one besides Seth is really willing to trade starting pitchers, and not really even Seth now.
So does that give you a logjam when your team's healthy? I mean, does that prevent you from playing somebody that you normally wanted to get into your lineup since you're going to have 3 first basemen?
No, when Freeman comes back, I'll have 3 first basemen, so I'll still be okay. I have one bench hitter right now, and I'm sure one of those guys will make it. You know how it is. Someone's going to get hurt eventually, and I don't know. I just figured with the way that Nick's team was, with no 2 start pitchers that week, I could afford to roster the extra bench hitter this week, and because the offensive stats were the really only ones that were really only up for grabs. So I feel okay with the strategy for this week.
All right, and I guess I thought it was a pretty fair trade all in all. I did think it was a little bit strange that Eric was willing to give up on Ortiz right when he was starting to get hot. Really, my only criticism for that is, I guess if it was my team, maybe he felt like that was his only opportunity to move Ortiz, but I'd be tempted to keep him right as he's starting to get hot. All right, jump into the power rankings. We're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter this week, and I would say that every week, but probably should be able to get it done with just 2 of us. At number 12, moving down from number 11 last week, Seth Weddle. Seth lost 7-3 to a team that we've just been pounding the last few weeks in the podcast, Brad Crawford. So Seth all the way down to 12. I'm not exactly sure where he is in the actual standing. It's got to be higher than that, I would think, because he was 8th entering this week. Just a rough week for Seth. I mean, when you're in fighting for that last playoff spot, you can't go out there and afford to give up a matchup to Brad 7-3.
Yeah, that's a little rough, because it looks like he's actually, with the way that things shook out this week, it looks like he's currently in a tie for 8th. So.
Wow. Well, you know what? I don't know what just happened, but I guess I thought it was 7-3. It's actually 6-3.
Yeah, he's in a tie for 8th, but it looks like he's only.
Oh, Fowler just scored a run. That's what it was.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, he's in a tie for 8th, but he's only 3.5 games out of last. So, look, I understand. You had him numbered 11 last week, and he lost to Boo. And that's 2 times this year that Seth lost to Boo. And look, if you lose to Boo, you can't be surprised with moving down. That being said, I'm not sure. But let's be real. Brad's finishing last place in this league. Let's be honest.
Are you that sure?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, Adrian Beltre's still on the DL. Is he not? Or
no. He moved. I think he moved him up in a regular spot after a day or so. And,
okay, fine.
And
Maybe he did, but all I know is Adrian Beltre was on the bench today.
Now I know that Brandon couldn't really get much. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Never mind. We're talking about Seth's team right now. So after Souza was great to Seth last week, he really did pretty much nothing this week. Did get 2 steals. Didn't really matter in this matchup since he lost that category, but a 136 average really kills you there. Again, maybe I'm a little rough on Seth. His lineup isn't too bad. Matt Kemp starting to come around a little bit. It's nothing flashy. It's not, I know that some like Jordan thinks it's one of the best offenses in the league. I'm not there. At least Cano and Kemp started to show signs of life this week, though.
Yeah, actually, this was probably Seth's best pitching week in a long time. With his 6 wins, 3.72 ERA, and 1.33 WHIP. First time he's been under 4 in the ERA department in quite a while. So.
Yep, Verlander with another productive week.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. Verlander set out this week. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, two good, pretty good games out of Drew Hutchinson. Taijuan Walker has just been amazing ever since Seth picked him up.
Yeah, Seth is. Yeah, he's been saying. I don't know. Seth's got a weird philosophy. He thinks his pitchers are way better than they actually are.
I completely agree with you.
He's like his team name's the right reverend. He kind of reminds me of Houston Nutt, because he'll always be like, "We're doing some good things out there. I like what I'm seeing from the guys." But it's like, dude, you just lost 6-3 to Brad and 500.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great, but you're not even bowl eligible right now. I don't care how many positive things you see out there. You can't be with Taijuan Walker. I mean, the Taijuan Walker I know is eventually going to go crazy on him and absolutely ruin a couple weeks for him. But hey, well, it's going good. I guess it's going good. But
yeah, Taijuan Walker, I'm looking at him now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. His last 6 starts combined, he's given up just 9 runs.
Yeah, that's really surprising.
Only what's even crazier is he's only in those last 6 starts 3 walks.
That is crazy because he can usually do that in 2 innings.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. Still, even with that, Seth's still been struggling in the pitching categories. I'm not sure he has a winning record in any of the pitching categories on the year. And I think it's all coming back to that Strasburg David Price trade where he just gave away 2 top 20 pitchers for what, in my opinion, wasn't enough. And I think that's the undoing of this team. You just can't compete in the pitching categories on a week-to-week basis.
Now, it seems like we're going on and on about Seth's podcast. It reminds me of that podcast that you guys did with Seth while I was on vacation. It was all Seth's team, so we better move on.
Yeah, we're still trying to balance out for how much we covered his team on that podcast, so yes.
Number 11, don't have to look too far away. Stay in the same matchup. Brad, I can only move you up so far. Brad's a number 11 team. So Brad shockingly came out with the win this week. Didn't expect to see that. Jimmy Paredes has been a pretty solid ad for him. And I don't know if you've really watched Paredes, but every time I watch him up there, he just looks like and I'm not saying he's nearly as good, but he looks like a Robinson Cano clone in the batter's box. It's like the exact same batting stance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You'll have to look at that next time you notice that he's up and pull it up. He literally looks just like Cano in the batter's box.
A lot better results, though.
This year.
At this point. I mean, whatever, Brad. 26 runs, 27 RBIs, 52 strikeouts. Just mediocrity, except for outside the 10 steals and some decent pitching stuff this week, which is definitely helped by Marco Estrada's near no-hitter. But, whatever. Do you have anything you want to say about Brad's team?
Well, he's getting Beltre back. Finally cut that dead weight of Melky Cabrera. Even though I have to admit that.
Beltre's back and he's sitting in the bench spot.
Is he on the bench or is he in the utility?
He was on the bench today.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Brad. Forsyth has been really good lately too. I don't know if I really buy it from a Razorback, but yeah, I don't know. I like some of the recent. I like some of the recent pickups. Okay, that he's made offensively. I still don't love the offense all in all, but
I know one who buys the Forsyth thing.
Who's that?
Probably Michael Gross.
Oh yeah, he's just a good ball player. All right, let's move it on. Number 10 in the power rankings. Eric Schimmer. So Eric this week lost to the other middle Shim. I'm sorry, I guess the youngest Shim. So Eric lost 6-3 to Brandon. Eric had 18 runs, pretty disappointing offensive numbers all the way across. Did have 30 RBI, which is serviceable. But actually, what shocked me about when I clicked on this matchup is that he had a .89 whip, and I just want to read you off the names in his pitching staff, where he had a .89 whip and a 2 ERA for the entire week. His names: Matt Harvey, Hector Santiago, Ubaldo Jimenez, Erasmo Ramirez, Edinson Volquez, Shelby Miller, Mark Burley, Adam Warren, and Colby Lewis. Not sure how he got those pitching stats of those guys.
That's 2 weeks in a row where he's just killed it in the ERA and whip, but didn't really matter. I'm gonna have to check here, but he picked up Colby Lewis this week, and I'm not seeing any stat next to his name. So does this mean he picked him up the day before his start?
Yeah, either that or maybe he picked him up the day of his start and he missed out.
Colby Lewis picked him up the day of his start, didn't put him in the lineup.
Yeah.
That goes back to the managerial questions we were addressing last week.
So, Buster Posey, huge week, 12 RBI. Look at this team, and I don't really know what the deal was. I hadn't really paid that close attention to it, but 0 counting stats from both Adam Jones and Yasiel Puig. That's gotta hurt.
Wow.
Matt Carpenter basically gave him nothing, a 111 average and 3 RBIs, nothing else. So, all in all, the offense is bad. Ellsbury's going to be back really soon. I think this offense is much better than it played this week, and I think this pitching staff is much worse than it has played out this week.
Correct.
All right.
I mean, look, if he can show a little more attention to detail, I think he can do some things here. But just little things like the Colby Lewis thing and some of the moves he made last week, carrying an extra bench spot all week. And then he's got this weird thing where he's got Ellsbury on the bench instead of the DL, and so he's taking up an extra roster spot by doing that. I don't understand. I don't understand what he's doing. Do you see that?
Well, he's a traveling man. He's going down to Florida, scoping out some houses. He's a busy guy.
Right.
All right.
I can't believe I lost to this team. What an embarrassment.
All right. Number 9 in the power rankings. I've got Derek Edwards. Derek, this past week, lost 5-4 to Jordan. He's changed his team name to worst team ever. It's not that bad. I guess I've been a lot higher on it than everybody else has been this year. But once again, awesome pitching stats. He does it every single week. And that doesn't necessarily get the high strikeout total because he really hasn't been streaming a lot of guys this year. And it seems like he's gone with the strategy where he's not going to pick up just a marginal guy off the waiver wire. He'd rather carry a bench hitter. So that's kind of helped his pitching stats for most of the season. Did have a 305 average, 8 homers. Otherwise probably a little bit below average offensive week.
Yeah, he was close to getting the job done. I mean, tied in steals and lost by 3 runs, 5 RBI, lost by whip and .03, which I think was run by. I think he had it today until Fernando Rodriguez, until K-Rod came in the game and blew that. So, not the worst team ever, but I mean, again. Just look at he had a good average, but the RBI total has just been it's been Drewish from 2013 so far.
Yep, and offensively, lost Rendon again. I mean, this team has really had a bunch of bad luck with injuries with Rendon, Dickerson, Holiday. I don't really know why he's deciding to hold on to Aoki with all the other guys he's already got on the DL. I know he's really good, but I mean, I think he's 4 guys in the DL. You might have to just cut some weight there with one of those guys. I did like the pickup, and I had no idea that he was actually shortstop eligible. But with all these injuries to the Giants lineup, Matt Duffy I thought was a good pickup. He's batting third in the lineup now. I think he's probably going to take over Castro's spot. Castro hasn't really done much the last couple weeks, and Duffy's been red hot, so I like that pickup.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. It's not very. Doesn't have Dickerson. He hasn't had Rendon a good majority of the season. Yeah, if he could just get that offense to perform a little better, and I know they hit 300 this week, but just as far as counting stats goes, he's got the pitching staff to compete, obviously. So I don't think I'm quite ready to write him off. Like I keep switching every week. As of this week, I'm back to writing off 3 teams. I'm back to writing off. No, I'll just say 2. Seth and Big.
Wow, you're writing off Seth right before you're about to play him.
Yeah, that does seem like a bad idea, doesn't it?
That seems like it's going to be a Stream City.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm close to writing off Seth. I mean, I have written off Seth and Big. I'm close to writing off Derek and Eric. Honestly, I think it's 8 teams competing for 6 playoff spots. I think these bottom 4 are the correct bottom 4. I think I don't see any of them getting into the playoffs, but I'm not ready to rule out Derek or Eric making a run.
Okay, then. All right, and before we move on to the next team, Ben told me about a trade offer that he sent over to Derek, and I want you to tell me who's crazier. Was Ben crazier for offering Ryan Braun for Stephen Vogt right after he traded him for Joey Gallo, or was Derek crazier for declining that offer?
I think we're crazy if we believe Ben Head without any evidence.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know why he would lie about it, but I'd be so happy to get Ryan Braun for Stephen Vogt if I was Derek, so I can't imagine turning that down, especially when he's playing Vogt at the outfield, not even using that catcher right now.
Yeah, I know. It makes a lot of sense. Only thing I could see is if that story is true, I could see Derek thinking about how Braun burned him that one year.
Yeah.
That he won the title in spite of him, saying, I don't need this guy. Give me Vogt. So, yeah, if that really happened, that's a Big Ben type of trade rejection right there. Where he's just scared or uninterested. I'm not sure what that's all about if it's true.
Okay, then let's move it on. Number 8 in the power rankings. The team that you played this week and handed the loss, Nick Schimmer, down to number 8.
Yeah, he didn't have a good week. I still think. Gosh, I don't know. I think I'd still have him at number 6.
Wow, you.
I mean, what?
That's pretty. And I feel like I look at the roster and I feel like it's pretty good, but maybe I'm just slow to move here on a few guys like Michael Brantley. He's been ice cold ever since those first few weeks after he got over that back injury. I don't know if he's still being bothered by that again. I don't know. Nick's team, where is he now in the actual standings after this loss?
Good question. I think you're right, though. I think as far as the names and the offensive lineup, it looks like, when you just look at it, it looks like a top 6 team to me.
Yeah, like I mean, Luke Roy has been awful. I don't know. Brantley hadn't been good. I guess Jock hasn't really done much since he got him. He hadn't been on the team very long, but I don't know.
Okay, well, as far as the standings go, Nick is now in 7th, half a game up on Clue Haywood.
Okay.
Look, he didn't have a good week. It started out looking really promising. I think he finished the week with 7 homers. I think he had 5 of those by Tuesday night, and then.
I just feel like we've been saying that about Nick's team. Not a very good week for the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah, for the most part, I thought they were coming on the last couple weeks. Just the last couple, but what can you say? It wasn't very good. He did have some injuries late in the week that forced him to burn some pickups on hitters instead of pitchers, so I think that might have cost him a category or two. But man, I'd still rather play John. I'd probably rather play Brandon rather than play Nick in the playoffs.
All right, fair enough. What do you think about this pitching stuff? I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez was just red hot those first 2 or 3 starts, and he's been absolutely imploding his last few starts. A lot of reliance on the young rookies in this pitching staff. Do you think it's one of the better staffs in the league?
I think it is top 6.
Okay, so you think it's good enough, and I'm probably there with you. I think it's probably in the top half. One thing that I wanted to point out, he does have Matt Moore and Iwakum on the DL, both guys I think could help. And then, how annoyed were you when Ivan Nova was facing Cole Hamels head-to-head and got the win?
Oh, not only got the win, Hamels blew up and Nova threw 6 shutout innings, I think. Pretty annoyed.
I can't believe you didn't say anything about that.
I don't know. I'm trying to turn a new leaf and, lessen the complaining. Because when I win the championship, I want to be celebrated. Let's see. I don't know. It's a decent move. I mean, you picked up a guy facing the Phillies. I'm not big on picking up, especially guys of Ivan Nova's level. I'm not big on picking up those guys for their first start. But, hey, playing the Phillies, got to take a shot on it, I guess. So, yeah, that was annoying. I feel like Matt Latos might be good this year.
Yeah, he had a high ERA in his start, but a very low WHIP. He's been pretty good ever since he came back from the DL, and I have to be honest, I didn't really know what Nick was doing when he made that trade, but it looks like it could pay off for him when he made that deal with John.
Yeah, I think he's throwing the ball like faster than he was before he went on the DL, and I think he looks good. I wish I could have bought low a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, one guy I really like on this team is Lance McCullers. That guy's just every time I watch him pitch, he looks awesome out there. I think he's legit. All right, moving on. 7 in the power rankings, staying with the same Shimmer family. I've got Brandon at number 7. Brandon wins 6-3 this week, convincing win over his brother. 13 home runs, 45 RBI, 38 runs, 300 average, 6 steals, a really awesome offensive week. Probably, I guess, contending with the best in the league this week, along with Ben. Pitching, not so great on the other side of things. How about Nolan Arenado?
Oh my gosh.
7 home runs, 14 RBI this week. And if I remember right, I think he's just shy of 70 RBI in the season.
He's ahead of Donaldson now, right? Do we take him ahead of Donaldson?
I probably still rather have Donaldson personally, but I wouldn't have a issue with it if somebody wanted Arenado.
Well, obviously those two are on an island all by themselves at third base. Look, you asked me a couple weeks ago if I really bought this offense, and I think I was kind of wishy-washy on it. Let me be clear, I buy this offense now. How can you not after a week like that?
Strong week. I think we were talking about it last week, where I just felt like there were several guys that were kind of replacement level guys that he was just trying to pick up the hot hand off the waiver wire. Those guys this week were Pilar, Zobrist, Colabella, guys like that. They all had pretty good weeks. Devin Travis did come back. Yeah. I mean, it's a good offense. There's no doubt about it. And when you have guys like Arenado and Miguel Cabrera, even if you have a weak spot in the lineup, they can cover those any problems there. So, scary team.
Look, if this was an average pitching staff, he'd be consistently in the top 4 in the power rankings. It's not an average pitching staff. It's far worse. And you just look at some of the names, like, I don't think I understand what's going on with Irvin Santana. he's making his debut next week. I felt like he's had him for way too long. But, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I was going to mention his streamer yesterday on Saturday. Probably the worst stream of all time when he streamed Overholzer.
I didn't know he streamed him.
He streamed him. I mean, look, that wasn't a good stream in the first place, but the fact that he pitched him 1 2/3 of an inning, got ejected, and sent down to the minors, and while he was on base.
What's funny is that the Astros still came back, and I think, or at least they tied that game. They may not have won it, but he got off the hook for the loss.
Right, yeah, because Tanaka get stunk up the place. But that was, I thought that was a pretty bad stream. You like to give me all that grief about, who is that guy on the Rockies that I have on my team almost all the way all the time until he got these out of the minors.
I don't remember.
Oh,
you had a Rocky starting pitcher?
No, a Rocky shortstop.
It was Josh Rutledge.
Yeah, it was Josh Rutledge. So I just always think it's funny when a guy goes down to the minors before he's been cut from a team. So I just had memories of that.
Yeah, so, not a lot of name recognition with the staff, but the guys that do have the name recognition are guys that I don't really expect them to be as good as they have been in the past. And Tehran, I think everybody knows my thoughts on Tehran by now. He just continues to be totally inconsistent, unreliable. Tyson Ross, I know he had a good start this week, but I think he still walked 4 or 5 guys. I still have some questions about him. And then Zimmerman's just not striking out like anybody this year. Had a good start, but his strikeout to 9, I think it's like 6 Ks per 9, something super low. I don't know. I have a lot of questions with this pitching staff.
Well, you should.
All right. I'm sorry.
No, that's all I got.
All right, number 6 in the power rankings, John B. So John this week had a very, very strong overall result, 6-2 over Michael. Clue Haywood moving his way up. I guess maybe I should have factored this in with my power rankings, and I have to be honest, I kind of it's kind of an oversight. Giancarlo Stanton obviously broke his hand, going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks or so that probably should have taken that into consideration. I do want to say that Hayward and Cargo, 2 guys that I don't trust at all, but they've been playing really well lately. Justin Turner had a couple home runs this week for him at second base. Offensively, I don't really love the offense, but the pitching staff is I remember when I looked at this pitching staff a while back and it had a bunch of scrubs on it, and now I look at it and I don't really see a lot of weaknesses. It's kind of the exact opposite. So he's come a long way. I like what he's done with the team, with the trades and the way he's managed it, because the team on draft night I didn't think was very good.
Oh yeah, no, I actually was bored yesterday, so I was going back and listening to the post-draft podcast we did that night. We were just ripping on John. We didn't even know who he was. We hadn't heard his voice yet at that point. Obviously, we've come a long way since then. And I have liked the trades that he made with Jordan, and I guess he got Strasburg for a good deal too. If Strasburg continues to stay healthy.
I don't know if he drafted any one of these starting pitchers. I don't think he drafted a single one of them. So he's got, just to run down the names real quick, he's got Felix, Strasburg, Kazmir, Syndergaard, who he picked up, Quintana, who he traded for Nick, AJ Burnett, Colin McHugh, who I traded, Chichi Gonzalez. So, it's not, sure there's some questions there, but I think it's one of the better staffs in the league at this point.
Yeah, no, credit to John to turning things around from where he was at the beginning of the year. That being said, come on, 6 is too high.
Yeah, I have to admit that I kind of looked over the Stanton thing. I think he would be worthy of that spot if Stanton was healthy. But yeah, you clearly, how far would you move John down? Would you? Because the 2 teams that we just did before him were Brandon and Nick. Do you like both of those teams better?
Oh yeah, I'd put him behind Brandon and Nick. Just look what he did this week. I understand Stanton's out, but 25 runs, 22 RBIs, 0 steals.
Yeah.
Not a good.
No, you make some good points.
But like you said the pitching.
Yeah, you make some good points. Maybe I did put John a spot or two too high.
But this 6-2 result is not indicative of some awesome week that John had. It's an indicative week of another. It's indicative of another crappy week for Michael, which is something we'll have to touch on later. But look, John is clearly in the hunt. I don't mean to say that he can't make the playoffs, but I'd be hesitant to put him in my top 6 right now. I think he's a solid number 8.
Okay. Let's move it on. Number 5 in the power rankings. Don't move too far away from the matchup. Michael, you're down all the way to number 5, the lowest you've been in a very, very long time.
Incredible. He was the number 1 team maybe 4 weeks ago or something like that. 5 weeks ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? What happened offensively is the question. I mean, pitching-wise, I know what happened. You look at his pitchers. It's so weird. You look at his pitchers. He has 2 guys ranked in the top 6 overall in fantasy, and Archer and Scherzer. And then he doesn't have a single pitcher ranked inside the top 200 after that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, at this point, if you're Michael, considering how bad pitching has been, I normally don't think I'd ever recommend this. At least I wouldn't do it for my own team personally. But would you consider trading Scherzer and try to get 2, good pitchers for one awesome one? I mean, or do you think he's just got to build it? He's got to fix it another way.
I mean, define 2 good pitchers. Top 15 pitchers?
I don't know. Say, let's say that Ben offered him Pineda and Shields for him or something.
No, hell no.
Okay.
I think what Michael needs to do, and I don't think he'll do it, is I think it might be time to keep an eye out for the closers when they come up. And I don't think it'd be a bad move to replace some of these crappy pitchers with some new closers when they get the job. Because this just isn't working.
Yeah, not working at all. This is the first week of pretty much the entire season that Bryce Harper didn't do a whole lot. I know he missed a few games. Sin Chu, I know that Michael loves guys that'll take walks, but I don't know. I don't know about you. Otherwise, probably kind of a random off week offensively. Hanley could be hurt. I don't know. He potentially could go to the DL. He picked up Hechavarria, which is a huge drop off from Hanley. Just a cold week for the offense, and pitching wise, I don't really like it either. All right, number 4.
Yeah, look.
Go ahead.
What do you think is more? We have Michael at number 5 right now.
Yeah.
What do you think is more likely, that he gets the bye or misses the playoffs?
I guess I would say get the bye. I think is more likely.
Yeah. So we we have him at 5, but we don't expect it to last.
Now Michael's not the type that'll panic, but if I have the roster, I'm not at the panic stage now that I'm just starting to slide in the power rankings the standings. I'm not panicking yet.
Well, let me tell you something weird. I was looking at his schedule earlier, and I think as far as his problems doesn't really matter, but as far as wins and loss on a weekly basis goes, he's 8-3-1 overall as far as winning and losing weeks. So that's the best record in the league, by the way. So it's just these last couple weeks. It's just his problem has been when he's won, he hasn't won a lot of matchups big. It's been a lot of 6-4s, which is all you need in the playoffs, obviously. So I think he's gonna be fine. It's just
Michael is probably due for a bad offensive week. I mean, it happens to even the best offenses in the league. I'm looking at it now. Michael's record going into this matchup, and his record in runs. Let me find his team. 9-1 in runs, 8-2 in homers, 10-1 in RBI. So
Wow.
he only lost those categories 4 times all year long. So, don't panic after one bad offensive week with those kind of results throughout the season.
Yeah, and just going back to what I was saying, he's lost the last 2 weeks, week 11 and week 12. Before that, he hadn't lost since week 3. So he went 7 straight weeks with a win or a tie. So I think he's going to be fine, and he's still in my top 5 teams that I don't want to face in the playoffs for sure.
Okay, now at number 4 in the power rankings. Kind of quiet this week.
I just want to say I think this is a rock solid number 4.
All right, you're already wavering from last week. You're like, I think this guy's clearly number 5.
I just knew who it was probably going to be.
Jordan Haas, return of Puckett 2, winning 5-4 over Derek this past week. He had a really good week the last couple weeks before this one. This one, it wasn't great. So I guess it was more of me just moving Michael down than Jordan deserving to move up.
This guy's in a coma.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him this week. I think he was over-invested with my matchup with him the previous week, and this week he just kind of coasted.
Yeah, I guess he took a little mini fantasy break or something. I don't know what happened. Like, I sent him a text on Thursday night asking him about a trade, and never heard back from him. My trade stayed up all week on the computer. That's usually not a surprise with Jordan, but the fact that he didn't answer my text message was definitely surprising. Yeah, I guess I would have still said he was the number 5 team if it wasn't for Michael just completely falling apart. But I agree with the move up to number 4. As I look at his week, there wasn't really anything that stands out. I guess his whip was solid. I think this is more about Michael than it is Jordan, don't you?
Wandy had a couple guys that really imploded, and Wandy and Roenis Elias, they both had horrible weeks that really drove up his ERA. Offensively, I really liked the lineup outside of Iglesias, and if he could move over Holt to shortstop, I think that's pretty good. And Simeon, I don't really care for those two guys, but I know Iglesias hit 412 this week, but still not doing a lot in the counting stats. Offensively, I'm not saying it's a great outfield, but I think it's pretty solid with Springer, Betts, and Burns. Burns didn't have any steals this week, but I expect him to be one of the league leaders in steals at the end of the season. And I guess we didn't really touch on Pujols as much as we should have last week. How good do you think Pujols is going to be going forward?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sad because if Jordan wasn't in this league, I'm pretty sure Pujols would have been on my team again this year. He's the most homers in the American League, right? Or the 3rd most homers in the majors.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Something like that. I don't know. It's just kind of weird to see Trout keep getting walked in front of him like he's some scrub and not some future Hall of Famer with over 600 home runs. I think it's slightly disrespectful, but I think that Pujols I think he'll be a top 40 player at the end of the year.
Okay. Let's move it on. Number 3 in the power rankings. I've got myself there. Highest I've been in a while. I had a 5-5 tie with Little Ben this week. Offensively, kind of a solid week. Not spectacular. Pitching, not too great either. But I think my pitching staff is better than the numbers that they put up this week. What do you think about my team?
How glad are you that this week is over?
How glad am I? I'm glad that I don't have to look at guys like Frazier and Correa and Maikel Franco.
Oh gosh, that was crazy. You just had to be down in the dumps on. Well, I guess.
So Ben was hitting well over 400 on Wednesday, and I don't even know. He hit like 30 RBI like halfway through the week. Franco just killed me.
No, he had 25 RBI on Wednesday night, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Gosh, what can you do? You were already out of 3 out of 5 offensive categories by Wednesday, so it was really really good job to come back. I know you made some pickups. Obviously, how excited were you? How much of the start did you get to watch today by Nats?
I probably watched about 3/4 of it. I didn't watch his at bats though. Which I mean, I saw some of the highlights, but I wasn't watching them in real time.
I know it didn't matter for your matchup, but you know he really did it all. He gave himself 4 runs of run support in that matchup.
Yeah.
4 guys in that game. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was a pretty bold move of you, considering how close ERA and WHIP were to throw out a rookie in his first start against the Reds and guys like Joey Votto and Todd Frazier. And when Phillips hit that homer off the first pitch, I thought you were in some serious trouble. And you probably thought you were headed for a 7-3 loss, but he rebounded and you were able to get the tie this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm pretty high on Matt since I picked him up a while ago to stash. He had some pretty.
You did? I'm sorry. I thought you just picked him up.
No, I've had him on my team for like a month. He had some really amazing stats in the PCL, which is notorious hitting league. He had like a 2 ERA and a 1 WHIP and a over strikeout an inning. So, and there's been a lot of guys that have been caught up from the PCL that have put up really good numbers in the majors that were actually struggling in the minors, like Syndergaard and some of those other Mets pitchers even. So I don't know. I felt pretty good in that he was going to be. That being said, I'd obviously never seen him pitch, so just going off the numbers. But I thought he would be pretty good for this game today. Offensively, I like my utility spots. I guess are a little weak. Victor Martinez is making me feel a little bit better because I didn't really know what quite to expect from him when he came back from the DL, but he's looked pretty good ever since then. And JD Martinez has been really good for me since I got him in that trade with Ben. And the pitching stuff, I'm really starting to feel pretty good about it. And thank God that Brett Cecil lost the job to Ozuna, because Ozuna's way better. All right, we lost Drew there for a second, guys. Let me pause this, and we'll get back in a second. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Drew, what happened there?
Gosh. Phone died, obviously. Were you able to pause it, or?
Yep, I just unpaused the podcast. I figured that your phone died. That seems like a scrub move that you would let happen.
Well, you know how it is on Sunday. On Sundays, you spend a lot of time on the MLB at that app. So, anyway, sorry about that. I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh, I know. I was asking you why your ERA was so high. Because I was looking at your pictures, and it didn't look like too many guys pitched terrible this week. Were there some blow-ups that you ended up cutting, and that's why I'm not seeing them right now?
Trevor May, if you scroll down to the bottom, he gave up 6 or 7 runs and then got only 1 out. So he pretty much ruined me.
That's right. I texted that picture in the group text. Did anybody know who I was texting? Because I wouldn't have known if I hadn't looked it up.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, I sent a picture of him right before everybody else sent pictures of Billy Haywood and Rookie of the Year and other pictures like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, pointless. But look, I don't believe for 1 second that you think you're the number 3 team in the league. I'm pretty sure you think you're number 2 or number 1, but the standings just don't justify it. But as soon as you get within what you consider a reasonable range, you're going to move yourself up to number 2. So why even bother right now?
No, I mean, I like my team, but you guys have put up much more consistent showings in recent weeks, so I don't think it's fair to move my team up that high just yet, just based on the way that I like the way it looks for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, both you and Ben's team have been doing it pretty much all year.
Yeah, we've been consistently up there, but I think we all know that you're coming. I mean, it's only a matter of time before you pass me.
Oh, all right. I don't buy that at all. You never think like that.
I mean, you might pass me. I'm hoping you pass Ben too, and Ben Bates. We'll get into him later, but
Are you saying that you would trade your entire roster for mine?
That's interesting. Definitely trade my hitters. I don't know. See, now I have the phone on charger and the computer 7 feet away, so this is getting a little tricky. But I, I, I think I probably would.
Okay. Well, I do like the way I like my team, better when Hunter Pence comes back to take out one of those utility spots. I do like the way my staff's coming along, but don't want to get overconfident. I guess maybe you caught me there. Maybe I am a little bit more high on my team than I am. I'm talking. I like my team right now.
And you should. Finally got a good start out of Cashner, and you go back to that Cueto trade. That was huge.
It's worked out well for me. So it was Shields and Carrasco, and Shields has just been awful since then. Carrasco's been okay, but Cueto's been fine. I mean, he hasn't gotten wins or whatever, but he's pitched well. He's had a low whip and decent strikeouts or whatever. Charlton Heston, we know about the perfect fantasy game. He's been really good for me ever since I got him. And then JD Martinez has been exactly what I needed.
Yeah, that worked out nicely.
All right.
I didn't want Ben to do it. I didn't, even though.
Well, you accepted it.
That's a good point. See, this speaks to the truth of how we feel about this. Ben was sitting is and has been sitting number one in the standings, and he was doing a trade with you, and I was like, no, don't do it. It'll make Ryan better. And I think that just tells you all you need to know about who I fear more come playoff time.
I just want to ask you one thing, and I really don't have a strong opinion on this guy, but I picked him up the day of his start just because, I wasn't really high on him before the start, but the start was just so good that I felt like I had to grab him. Mike Montgomery had that shutout with 10 strikeouts against the Royals. I mean, what are your expectations for him?
I don't know. I only watched the one game where he pitched against CC in his debut. I think he gave up one run.
Yeah, he hasn't really gotten many strikeouts until this most recent start, is why I never really paid attention to him.
That's right. Yeah, I don't remember him getting many strikeouts at all before then. I think it's worth a chance. I mean, so many of us are struggling to fill the back half of our rotation, but you got to take chances on guys sometimes rather than just stream CC Sabathia's and a couple of the other guys that are in my rotation right now. So I like the move. Take a chance. Who knows? It might really pay off. We'll see.
Okay, let's move it on. Number 2 in the power rankings. Team that won 6-3 this week. I would say the team name, but it'd be a little confusing. Drew Weddle.
Yeah, look, I'm really lost after losing my team name to Ben. I can't find anything that I'm happy with. But, yeah, two's right. I mean, I don't know. Nobody.
How good were you feeling about that Valbuena pickup midweek?
When he hit 2 homers in the first game and then got 2 hits in the next game and
yeah.
got his ass above 200 for a little bit, I was feeling pretty good. But then I kind of was slightly depressed upon the Teixeira news, the Freeman news.
I guess I didn't really realize that Teixeira thing could have been a big deal. I guess I just assumed it was day to day.
I mean, look, Teixeira's. It was just a couple years ago that he missed practically the entire season. So, I'll tell you, that's one thing I won't miss about not playing Nick is now I can finally relax instead of hoping that certain things happen within the Yankees lineup. It's got terrifying having A-Rod and Gardner. We didn't talk about it, but Gardner, good Lord, earlier. I mean, this guy's the reason Nick even won 4 categories. I mean, this would have been 8-2 without Gardner. But I'm happy with the results. Obviously, losing back-to-back weeks would have been tough. Losing to 2 back-to-back shins would have been tough. Again, I think it's just a result of the standings that you still have me at number 2. I feel like
I was actually, to be honest with you, I was prepared. I was prepared before this big Sunday. I was gonna move myself up to number 2, but your weekend stats were better than mine or equally as good. I don't remember exactly, but they were pretty comparable. So it didn't feel it was the right time to do that.
Yeah, I had the same feeling that you were going to move yourself up to number 2, but then I looked at the standings and I said, well, he's going to have a hard time doing that, being that far back. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Ian Desmond, couple home runs this week, a 263 average, a pretty solid week for a shortstop.
Absolutely. I mean, and he crushed one today, just crushed it. And I'm watching it at bat. This week things were different. He just looks like a different hitter up there. He's not looking at the first 2 strikes and then swinging at the dirt on strike 3. He's attacking earlier in the count. I like what he had a big. It was so funny this week, by the way. At the beginning of the week, he had a walk-off sac fly, and he got the syrup treatment. Keep in mind, this is a sac fly that in the rest of the game he was 0 for 3 and had an error. So he was just dying for some sort of bright spot. I think that ever since then, he had a pretty solid week. I think he ended up batting like 280 for the week.
Yep, pretty solid week for Desmond. So offensively, I think you got a lot of all or nothing guys. A lot of guys that'll strike out a ton, but also can hit for a lot of power. So could be a little inconsistent from week to week. But all in all, I think it's a pretty solid offense, and it's a lot better than offensively than I really thought it was going to be this season. To be honest, Freddie Freeman might be tough to put up some offensive numbers when he's out, but this week you're able to get it done, and he's a big piece when you get him back. I don't think he'll be out too long.
Yeah, no, he's been great. Look, we got to talk about this guy. The number 27 ranked player in fantasy.
Who's that, Blackman?
Charlie Blackman was a top 30 player last year. 9 homers and 21 steals.
Yeah, he's got a ton of steals. I didn't expect him to be running quite this much.
What a beast! And I love most about him is he's not afraid to swipe third either. He probably steals third just as much as he steals second, especially when there's a lefty pitching. God, I love me some Charlie Blackman, and I feel like nobody respects him. I don't think anybody else knows what he's doing. I just want to.
Yeah, he's been really good. There's no doubt about it. I do want to ask you about Tanaka. I know that last week we talked about him, and you were just like, oh, one bad start. Are you more concerned about him now?
I wasn't able to watch it because of Houston being, how it is.
Blackout.
Yeah, blacked out. The radio announcers didn't make it sound good though. And that's how obsessed I am with fantasy. I was listening to the Houston Astros radio broadcast on a Saturday afternoon. I'm a little worried.
Okay. Well, got Jose Fernandez coming back next week. That's going to be a big boost to your team. Ace potential, obviously. Pretty much was the best pitcher in fantasy for those, the short time he was active last year before he got hurt.
Where would you rank him right now? Like who would you trade him for?
I think your own Hamels is probably somebody I think is I expect to be pretty similar numbers going forward, I guess.
Oh, I think I like him better than Hamels.
You think so?
I do.
I mean, I definitely would have liked him better last year. And just, trying to be a little cautious since he's coming off the injury, but, might not be anything, so who knows? I mean, I know it was Tommy John, but he could be back to normal. I know his velocity is supposed to be back, but even Wainwright, sometimes guys take a little while to adjust, sometimes they don't, so it's just hard to say.
Yeah, it's true. I'm just glad, I'm glad everything worked out. So often you draft these guys on the DL and then it never comes to fruition where they end up making it. By the way, I think I saw that Matt Cain's supposed to start this week too for Seth. So That'll be interesting as well.
Yeah, and they're just dying to figure out a way to boot one of these guys from the rotation so that Heston can stay in there. I think they're saying they're gonna put Lincecum on the DL because he has like a bruised hand from a ball that hit him on a line drive or something like that. It's like not even a break, just like a bruise.
That's usually that's what they do when they get to the postseason, but
yeah, they might as well just stick him in the bullpen like they did last year in the playoffs.
He's actually been he's been surprisingly good.
He had been until like the last couple weeks. He's really blown up the last couple weeks, but yeah, he had been pretty good. Okay, number one team. Obviously, it's Little Ben. 5-5 tie with me this week. Had a dominant offensive week. We've already kind of touched on this team a little bit. Offensively, I mean, you just look at that infield, and it's got to be the best infield in the league. Goldschmidt, well, considering that he doesn't have a catcher, Goldschmidt, Kipnis, Frazier, and Correa. I mean, that's just a dominant infield.
Yeah.
It might still be the best infield in the league, even without a catcher.
Yeah, that was.
I think he was willing to cut that catcher because he had such a huge lead in all the offensive categories. Now I almost came back on Sunday. It didn't really look as close as it was, but I was only down by a run. Average was pretty much a toss-up going into today, and I was down 2 home runs. So there's a lot going in that it could have backfired on him, but it didn't.
Yeah, I still didn't like the move when it happened because. Just what is he doing? 3 weeks ago, he had 3 catchers, and right now he has 0.
Well, the thing that I don't get about it, I guess, is that he's got 2 guys on the NA. Why not just cut John Gray for whoever you want to pick up?
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, whenever he's not looking at college campuses, he's looking at Colorado Rocky scouting reports or something. Like I said in his group text. I just didn't like that move. And again, we talked about it last week. Boy, he sure doesn't respect the damn thing I say. I'll say it again. 4th pickup heard on Tuesday. Again. And he was out of it. And that 4th pickup was when he cut his catcher. So he was obviously not going to rock a catcher the rest of the week. I just want somebody to pick up Yasmani Grandal so he can't have him back. Because I think he's the clear cut guy to get out there.
I can't believe that Grandal's not owned. If I needed a catcher, I'd be picking up Grandal easily.
Look, someone who's listening to this who believes in the 2-catcher philosophy, I know there's a couple of you out there. Just pick up Grandal so Ben can't have him. But look, 53 pickups. Where are we now? We're 53 pickups, 9 weeks left in the regular season, and then potentially 2 weeks in the playoffs. So, leaves him 22 pickups for 11 weeks. That's 2 a week.
Yeah. Pitching for Ben wasn't, obviously I barely squeaked by him in pitching this week, but I guess I'm not feeling as good about the staff as I was a few weeks ago. I love Keuchel and some of these other guys, but I feel like he's got a bunch of guys on there that could potentially blow up your ERA too. I know they're pitching pretty well right now, guys like Robbie Ray, Tyler Youngman, Vince Velasquez, but I feel like they've got big blow up potential too. So that I would be concerned about that if I was Ben.
Yeah, I guess, like, is Nick's pitching staff better than Ben's? I feel like it's different because Nick's got better top name guys at the front of the rotation, but I feel like as far as overall staff, I feel like Ben and Nick are fairly similar.
Yeah, I'd have to look at them side by side, but that sounds about right. I think they're probably pretty close.
Yeah, they're both middle of the pack. I don't want to call them bad, even though they have been bad the last few weeks. But gosh, that offense is just so consistent. I don't know how I got away with them not having a huge week the week I played Ben. Do you think he's in first place?
What's that?
Do think he's in first place 5 weeks from now.
I mean, he's got a pretty big lead, doesn't he?
And he's got a 2.5 game lead on me.
Okay, I thought he had a bigger lead than that, I guess. I don't know, 5 weeks. I mean, he might still have some pickups at that point.
I don't think he's. Listen to me. He just needs to talk to Nick Shimmer and find out what it's like.
I guess if I had to, I think I will. Yeah, I don't know if he will by the time the playoffs roll around, but I think he will be in a few weeks. So I like his team.
Yeah, look, his strategy is wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, you won wins. You would have won strikeouts if you had pitched your full staff. Probably you benched Martinez to make sure ERA and WHIP were safe, but it's just if you're going to go all pitchers, you have to use your pickups for streaming, and he's running out of time to do that. And I wouldn't. I keep saying all this stuff about pickups. I wouldn't say it if I was talking about a team that I thought might actually listen to what I'm saying and follow my advice. I know Ben doesn't give a damn what I say. He doesn't respect me at all. So I'll just keep saying it, and hopefully he'll burn 4 pickups again next.
Yeah, I think one thing that he brought up, mentioned to me, is that he's not as concerned about pickups for the playoffs this year as he would be a normal year because there's just so much people. There's not a lot out there on the waiver wire, so he's almost afraid to pick up somebody and stream him because of what it could do to his year.
It's called injuries. Hello.
Yeah, that's what I'd be more concerned about. It's just there's going to be injuries throughout the year. I mean, you're carrying 23 roster spots or whatever. You're going to have to fill several spots throughout the rest of the year, and you almost have to reserve 10 spots just for that, just depending on, if there's day-to-day injuries as well in the playoffs. Guys that aren't necessarily on the DL, I mean, you usually have to find a replacement for those guys.
Yeah. All right, so look, are we ready to call any team's locks for the playoffs?
I don't think I am.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to call myself a lock. I think I'll go ahead and lock Benhead in. I don't think he'll win the championship, but I would call him the only lock so far. And then I would go ahead and lock Seth. I don't know. I don't want to do it to him, but I'd definitely lock Brad out, and then I'd probably go ahead and lock Seth out. And I'd lock Ben in. I think that's where I'm at right now.
All right. So, what do you expect from your week? Your matchup next week with Seth? What's your prediction?
No, I'm not doing this. It keeps backfiring.
Gone soft.
What's that?
You're going soft.
I just want to win.
So you'd be fine with a 5-4?
What's that?
You'd be fine with a 5-4?
No.
Just say you want a 7-3.
That's what I always want. I want a 7-3, especially that pitching staff. So yeah, a couple interesting things this week. We've got we had a Brandon versus Eric in the Shimmer matchup last week. This week we have Brandon versus Nick. Brandon is obviously going to be ahead of him in the standings now. And then this could be a week of separation because I think was the top 4 teams in the power rankings this week. Number 1, Ben is playing against worst team ever, Derek. Number 2 team, me, is playing the Right Reverend, who is your number 12 power ranked team. And then Jordan, your number 4 team, is playing Boo. And then you, the number 3 team, are playing Clue Haywood, who is in 9th. So if things play out like we expect that they would, we might finally see that separation in the standings that we're used to seeing from 1st to 12th.
Yep, good point. Not a lot of teams that are in that same range in the standings playing each other. The only one really is I guess Nick and Brandon. So that'll be a big matchup for them because they're not that they need to be too worried at this point in the season. There's still a lot of time left, but they're kind of both fighting for that final playoff spot as it stands right now.
Yeah. If you're playing that streak for the cash, this would definitely be the easiest week to go down the board and predict.
All right, final question. Anybody that you're looking to trade or on your roster? Anybody available?
Look, guys, I'm not afraid to take a Jeff Samardzija, a Julio Teheran, a double-digit O-rank pitcher who's really struggling.
Now, I offered you that Gio Gonzalez for Kimbrel trade, and you turned it down.
Yeah, but Kimbrel's a double-digit O-rank closer.
Okay.
And that's
that was your struggle with it.
O-rank aside, come on, man.
What? Gio didn't give up any runs this week.
I can't believe you wouldn't do Gio for. Good point. He hasn't given up any runs his last 2 starts. Gio's ranked like 1100, and come on.
Kimbrel's stats haven't been that. I mean, his ERA hasn't been that great for a closer. You said that you want a double-digit O-rank guy that you can buy low on. This could be your chance.
That's stupid. I couldn't believe you wouldn't take Papelbon for him.
I just don't like Papelbon in real life. That was kind of my problem with it. I just don't want to root for him.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All right.
I'm totally with you there.
All right. Well, this did not end up being a very short podcast after all. It's been an hour and 6 minutes.
Really?
Yep, it's been a long one.
Well, do you have any overall big thoughts?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much touched on everything. I don't have anything else.
All right. I just wanted to debate something. I'm ready to argue something.
All right. Well, do you think that you're gonna? Do you think that your team is better than your roster is better than Jordan's?
Do I think my roster is better than Jordan's?
Yeah. You almost said like that. You almost said that you were offended by that question.
Yeah, I think it's better than Jordan's.
All right. I just Jordan likes to get things riled up, and so I just wanted to see if he's listening.
I'm gonna have to say right now, as of this point, I think who is it more likely to listen to this podcast, Jordan or Brad?
I'd still say Jordan.
he just hasn't been anywhere the last week. I don't know what's going on with this guy. And look, we've seen him do this before. So he did this the last time that he had his own team in fantasy baseball. Just disappeared in the back half of the season. Finished behind one Joey Formicola in the standings. Just want to remind everyone about that. So another reason I'm not ready to lock anyone in, and another reason I've got him in a clear cut number 5. I'm still stuck on that. I can't believe he traded Sale and Felix in the same week.
Do you think it's any coincidence that the 3 teams lowest in the standings are also the 3 that have used the fewest pickups?
No. Well, no. I'm sorry. I thought Seth was going to be down there. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
It's probably just, they're not that they're that ridiculously low on pickups, but just kind of makes you think that they might not be paying attention to the waiver wire as much as some of the other guys, which, can be, sometimes we pay attention to it a little bit too much, but just pointing out.
That's normally the same amount of pickups we see from Derek, though, at this point. I don't know. Was Derek streaming more than this last year?
I think so, but, I think it was much easier to stream in a 10-team league versus what it is now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we shouldn't be surprised. I think that's a good point. And look, if you look at it, I think half the league is over budget on pickups. So that'll be interesting as we go down the last few weeks, especially when we come up to this All-Star week here in a couple weeks, where it's going to be a 2-week week. Kind of hard not to see everyone blowing more pickups over a 14-day stretch. I think it's only 10 days worth of games, but I think everyone's going to continue to be over budget on pickups. So, be interesting to watch.
All right. Well, that concludes the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We'll do it again next week.
Peace out.